On August 9th, the Detroit Lions will premiere on the HBO Emmy Award-winning series Hard Knocks. Whether you are a Lions fan, a fan of another team in the NFL in general, genuinely interested in what the Lions are up to, or wondering why in the world you would waste your eyes on the Lions, I am here to give you an introduction to all the information that you could possibly need before watching the Detroit Lions on Hard Knocks this year. From players to coaches to intriguing storylines, we will break them down here. Let's get started. Even if you're not intimately familiar with the franchise, it is well known that the team usually isn't very good, and was even the first team in history to have a winless season. The team is also one of the oldest franchises in the NFL and a staple on Thanksgiving for generations of Americans. Despite being mired in a perpetual hell of awful GMs and coaches, bad breaks, and worse breakups, the team is followed by a passionate, if not delusional, fan base that no matter how bad the team is, they dig their heels in deeper and hope that one day they'll be delivered. Usually being on Hard Knocks isn't so much celebration worthy as it is a nuisance and a national reminder that your team hasn't made the playoffs in some time.
No! We suck again!
Detroit has been eligible for the show more often than not, but was always viewed as a team with zero intrigue and a choice that would be ratings suicide for HBO. This year, HBO and the NFL not only had the Lions, but Carolina and a big market team in the New York Jets to pick from as well. So why pick Detroit, a team that has only won 8 games in the last 2 years and didn't even win until Week 13 last year? A team that doesn't even have a single primetime game on their schedule this year. The answer is simple. This man here, Dan Campbell, affectionately known as Motor City Dan Campbell, or MCDC.
All right, and on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap, and we're going to get up, and then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing. All right, that's going to be the mentality.
I mean, yes. Who's going to beat that team? Whoa. I'll tell you what, no other team in the NFL is ready to bite off patellas, dude.
No.
2 patellas getting gouged out of the knees. I dislocated my kneecap. It hurt so bad. Could you imagine someone bites that motherfucker off? That's the type of attitude that MCDC is bringing to Detroit.
Wow.
Detroit Rock City being led by Motor City Dan Campbell. I mean, this is just maybe the best thing to happen to the NFL in a long, long time at this.
The 6'5", 245-pound, double venti pike shooting, kneecap biting, Big Lebowski-looking quote machine.
I am not Mr. Lebowski. You're Mr. Lebowski. I'm the dude. So that's what you call me.
A man who burst on the scene with his electric opening presser is sure to be the star of Hard Knocks this year. This man was initially mocked as a sideshow or a novelty act until fans and media pundits alike began to realize that he was authentic. His players love him, and he loves the game. Sure, this team started 0-10-1, losing in heartbreaking fashion multiple times. But when most teams would start to mail it in and not care, MCDC had his eyes on who really cared and allowed those guys to compete. Going 3-3 down the stretch and delivering locker room heat like this.
Hey man, welcome to Detroit. Man, I tell you what, we did everything we said we needed to do to that team. We did everything. And we turned the ball over offensively, right? And then we defensively, a mighty 2-4. I tell you what, offensively, man, we came after them early, man. We said we're going to be aggressive. We took some shots, and we made them. We made our shots early, and then we just started hammering them. Hell, our first drive was 8 minutes, man. You guys are a tough, gritty group, man. You're a tough, gritty group. You always have been, and now you're seeing the dividends, man. Look, a team gets 1 out, 2 out. We got multiple guys out, and multiple guys stepped up, and that's what we're capable of.
Welcome to Detroit, indeed. Dan Campbell alone is reason enough for watching this edition of Hard Knocks. His genuine, unscripted madness is sure to be absolutely entertaining. If you didn't know already, Dan Campbell was a tight end in the NFL, a third-round pick in 1999 to the Giants. He also played for the Cowboys and even played for the 0-16 Lions team, with his last team being the 2009 Saints. You will notice while watching that MCDC has endeared himself to his entire roster because he has been there before, and he has said on multiple occasions that he will ask nothing of his players that he hasn't done or won't do himself. Same can't be said for his predecessor, who would make grown men run laps in hills while sitting on his ATV. This leads me to my next point for watching. These first few points will be more widely known facts. I'll get into the more obscure reasons and player info later in the video. Dan Campbell isn't the only former player on this staff. In fact, there are 8 coaches and 2 executives that were former NFL players, and many more that played in college. Aaron Glenn, Deuce Staley, and Aubrey Pleasant will all be head coaches very soon. And if your team is soon to be in the market, watch these guys closely because you are going to love them. All are passionate, smart men who their players go to war for. I can almost guarantee that Aaron Glenn will be a head coach next year, as he nearly got the Saints job this year. The best part about these coaches is they compete. Training camp practices are going to be highly entertaining when these guys start barking at each other. Look for Deuce to let the defense know it every single time that one of his running backs make a play. Don't sleep on Antoine Randall either, as he promises to be excellent television. Reports came out last year of practices getting heated to the point of an all-out brawl, so I know it's going to be intense. It was misconstrued while Campbell was the interim coach at Miami that he was running the Oklahoma drill in practice, which is illegal. He debunked it, but he does indeed do a lot of one-on-one competitions with the entire team gathered round to watch. Losing side, offense or defense, usually has a punishment like up-downs or push-ups, but the jeers of the winning side are what really do the damage. The coaches get into this just as much as the players, and they are also subject to the punishments as well. We are going to see a lot of these competitions, and they are going to be awesome. Competition will definitely be the theme of this year's Hard Knocks. In recent years, we've seen teams like the Chargers, Rams, and Cowboys, who have all pretty much had their rosters set, and the cameras got to follow a few guys who were fringe fodder for the 53-man roster. Though those stories were intriguing, this is a team that some of those fringe guys could actually be competing for legitimate playing or even starting time.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
That doesn't mean the current projected starters are trash. That just means there has been an enormous influx of talent behind them in the last year and a half on this roster. Gone are Matt Patricia's Detroit Patriots. The way new general manager Brad Holmes has overhauled this roster is quite astonishing. Cupboards that were once bare are now brimming with young, yet unproven talent. Holmes and Campbell don't care if you were a first-round pick, or undrafted, or picked up off your couch the day before. Craig Netflix Reynolds. Every single player you are about to see starting August 9th has an equal shot to compete. Here are many of those players to look out for, and Craig Reynolds is a prime example. He was on his couch watching Netflix when he was called up by the Lions to make an appearance in the preseason. Not only did he introduce himself to his teammates in the huddle of the actual game, he competed hard enough to stick around and even had a 100-yard game in the Lions' rout of the Cardinals. I would look for him to garner a lot of attention from HBO. Both Jerry Jacobs and A.J. Parker were undrafted free agents last year who got a lot of playing and even starting time in the secondary. Though they were derailed by injury, I expect them both to compete for more time this year, as they were both quite impressive stepping up. Detroit traded a 5th-round pick to the Broncos for wide receiver Trinity Benson last year. He has tons of potential, but the mental part and being comfortable with the offense took some time, so he spent most of 2021 on the practice squad. This year, signs already point to him making the leap and competing with the likes of Khalif Raymond, Josh Reynolds, and Quintez Cephas for playing time. Speaking of Quintez Cephas, he showed a ton of promise last year before going down with an injury, and he has since seen his role with the additions of DJ Shark and Jameson Williams, as well as the breakout of Amon-Ra St. Brown, relegate him to probably 5th or even 6th on the depth chart today. I would look for him to try to claw his way back up. The potential is there, And if you're not a Lions fan, look for him as a potential trade piece for your team. There's a lot to like about this kid. Think Anquan Bolden. Defenders like Austin Bryant and Jashawn Cornell are two more to keep an eye on. Both are extremely strong, talented guys that have been hampered by injuries and are now healthy. It wouldn't surprise me if the HBO cameras followed any one of these guys. Now, the guys that I fully expect to get camera time and absolute reasons to watch are the next guys that I'll cover. Number one, without a doubt, and if it weren't for MCDC stealing the show already, would have to be Jamaal Williams. The guy is an absolute goof.
Yes, sir!
He is unapologetically, authentically himself. Jay Swag Daddy, as he likes to call himself, is more entertaining than the collective rosters of the last 3 Hard Knocks put together. That's not a slight, that's just a simple fact. If you want a taste, go watch Jamaal That on the Detroit Lions YouTube. You won't regret it. HBO could make an entire show of just him and Campbell, and no one would complain. Jamaal will be joined in the running back room with former linebacker and Raiders Hard Knocks darling Jason Kabinda, who is now a fullback and guaranteed to make the roster due to MCDC being absolutely in love with him.
It'd probably be Kabinda. Probably be like, hey, Kabinda, why don't you go over there and just, just slap that guy right in the head after the play. Probably be Kabinda. I think Kabinda would do it. Kabinda would be like, all right, I got you.
They will also be joined by fantasy football stud DeAndre Swift, who looks primed for a huge year. The guy got strong in the offseason, and when your dad looks like this, it's not hard to see why. Speaking of strong dads, 2-time Mr. Universe John St. Brown is the father of sun god Amon-Ra St. Brown, who exploded onto the scene in the second half last year. A kid who is making a push to be the face of a Matthew Stafford-less franchise. He is already getting Hines Ward comparisons, and you know Antoine Randall has got to love that. He is joined in the wide receiver room by Hard Knocks alum Josh Reynolds, who after being acquired off waivers, really helped his former Rams teammate Jared Goff settle in down the stretch last year. And newcomer DJ Shark, who was looking for a home after breaking free of the dysfunction in Jacksonville. Only 2 seasons removed from a 1,000-yard campaign, he is coming off of an injury that derailed him early last season. Look for DJ to make a lot of highlights in camp and to soon reestablish himself as one of the game's premier deep threats. Detroit added another deep threat to their receiver room by making a trade that essentially only gave up a third and swapped firsts and seconds with Minnesota to jump from 32nd to 12th to grab speed demon Jameson Williams.
He's fast. He's really, really fast. I mean, he's so fast. He makes fast people look not fast.
I got it. He's fast.
J-Mo, as he is more commonly known, is coming off of a torn ACL in the national championship game, so we're not really sure if we're going to see him compete in camp, but he will most definitely see camera time. Keep in mind, this kid had 7 catches for 184 yards and 2 touchdowns versus a Georgia team that had 8 defenders taken in the draft, 5 of which in the first round. All of a sudden, a receiver room that broke camp in 2021 with Tyrell Williams and Brashad Perryman as their top 2 guys looks pretty damn good this year. Pair those guys with former number 8 overall pick and consensus top 10 tight end TJ Hutchinson, who will definitely get some airtime as he looks to try to break into the same conversation as the Kittles and Wallers of the world, and Jared Goff has got to be excited. If you haven't already, please take a moment to like and subscribe. Thank you. Now, I won't beat a dead horse with Goff. He's been on Hard Knocks twice already, and people have already written him off for dead. He got shipped off with 2 first-round draft picks to the doldrums of a Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn roster wasteland in Detroit for Matthew Stafford, who went on to win a Super Bowl with his old team. We all know the story. And yes, let's face it, 90% of the population thinks he's a bridge quarterback for Detroit, and that may be true if he doesn't perform. But Holmes and Campbell did not take a QB in the draft this year and have given him zero excuses with his weapons and are allowing him to compete for the franchise spot. He has it in him. We saw it in 2018. Was that a fluke? Or can he get back to it? We're about to find out in 2022. He seems a lot more comfortable in his role, and he has even become recently engaged to his supermodel girlfriend, so things may be looking up for JG. Campbell has also promoted relative unknown, but extremely smart Ben Johnson to the offensive coordinator position. MCDC and Johnson took over the play calling versus Pittsburgh after relieving Anthony Lynn of the OC role when Detroit was 0-9 and proceeded to be actually pretty decent down the stretch on offense, with Goff posting an impressive 107.1 QBR over his last 6 games. Ben Johnson has said that he spent the offseason with Goff building the playbook around his strengths and what he did well in LA. Getting a look at these two in action this summer should be very intriguing. Protecting Goff is a line widely considered as a top 5, if not top 3 unit in the NFL. Lions fans were extremely excited about these guys last year, but due to injuries to 2/5 of the line, they have yet to play a single snap together as a unit. Now, 100% healthy, it will be very exciting to see this unit mesh and wreak havoc once the pads come on. From left to right, you have Taylor Decker coming off of a lucrative extension and a very strong second half last year. 2021 Pro Bowl guard Jonah Jackson, who should only improve in year 3, and a man at center who may just be the best at his position, at the very least, top 2, and Frank Ragnow. Frank missed most of the 21 season with an injury, but will soon be a household name as he is an absolute terror up front. Ragnow is also a big YouTube personality, so I would not be surprised to see a lot of him on HBO. And on the right side, you have the Polynesian powerhouses. At guard, Big V, Halapulavati Vaitai, who had a very solid 21 season after moving to guard. And at tackle, you have the crown jewel of Brad Holmes' first draft, Penei Sewell. Sewell is the player that BH started this rebuild with and is already viewed as a top 10 player at his position. And Dan Campbell has said that the kid has gotten even stronger in the offseason. Seeing Sewell in action when live hitting starts is going to be must-see TV. Add in his infectious personality and the fact that he has a baby on the way, and he could make for one of the better storylines this season. Now, if the antics of Dan Campbell and Jamaal Williams and the storylines on the offensive side of the ball aren't enough to convince you that this may actually be the best season of Hard Knocks yet, this next point will.
This is what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object.
We're about to find out what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. Penei Sewell is viewed as a potential Hall of Fame player. Well, the guy he will be practicing against has the same billing as a defensive end. And that player is 2022 number 2 overall pick, Aidan Hutchinson. Both players could have easily been number 1 overall picks and will now face each other throughout training camp. Iron sharpens iron, and these boys are made of a lot of iron. Sewell is 6'5", 335, and Hutch is 6'7", 260. Get your popcorn ready. You just know that some of those one-on-ones that Dan Campbell loves to run will be between these two behemoths. General Manager Brad Holmes has made it a point to build his team from the inside out. In 2021, his first 3 picks were offensive tackle and 2 defensive tackles. In 2022, 2 of his first 3 picks were defensive ends. Yes, it made for some growing pains with a lack of weapons last year, but now when you look at the offense, the only real question mark is quarterback. As a whole, the rest of the offense is above average, maybe even better depending on how good JMO comes back. The defense was one of the worst in the league last year, but it is also the youngest. Under the direction of the very capable Aaron Glenn, this defense should not be nearly as anemic, especially with the returning talent and the newly acquired pieces. In all honesty, seeing who steps up on D on Hard Knocks could be fascinating. Those forementioned D-line picks from the last 2 years are Levi Onwuzurike, who spent most of the 21 season injured. Now healthy, he has changed his body and looks ready to do what he said he loves most. Aleem McNeil, the Dancing Bear, former running back and 300-pound right fielder, is an uber-athletic big man and rap star under the alias Aleem the Dream. Check him out if you have some time. He looks primed for a breakout rushing up the middle this year. These two are joined by the Heisman runner-up Hutchinson and 2022 second-round pick, cancer survivor, and Kentucky's only 3-time captain in school history, Josh Paschal. The Hutchinson hype overshadows Paschal, but this kid's story is insane, and he has leadership qualities and work ethic that could make him a star in this league. Be sure to look out for number 93. The youngster will be developing next to Hard Knocks alum Michael Brockers, who has said that he is excited for Glenn's new attacking defense compared to last year's read and react style, as well as veteran Romeo Okwara coming off of an Achilles injury last year, but only 2 years removed from a double-digit sack campaign. And Romeo's little brother Julian, who will look to use his speed in Glenn's NASCAR package to get to the QB. And former first-round pick and newly extended Charles Harris will join them as well. He had 7.5 sacks after signing a prove-it deal with Detroit last year. Look for fellow D-lineman John Kaminsky, Bruce Hector, and Demetrius Taylor to possibly be storylines as bubble roster guys. I said that the theme of Hard Knocks this year would be competition, and nowhere on the roster is the competition more fierce and the door more wide open for starting roles than at linebacker. In recent history, linebacker has been the worst position for this team. Holmes made it a point to add talent to this room and will allow the cream to rise to the top throughout training camp. Take your bets now because this will be an awesome competition. Alex Anzalone is the wily vet who played under Dan Campbell while he was the assistant head coach to Sean Payton in New Orleans. This Thor stunt double will try to fend off newcomer Chris Board, second-year draftee Derek Barnes, and uber strong and smart, though pint-sized, rookie Malcolm Rodriguez. This former wrestling champ has the chops to break into the starting lineup, and I'm honestly rooting for him. Jared Davis has returned to Detroit and hope that a non-Matt Patricia defense might actually help him reach his potential. And dark horses but athletic studs, Sean Dion Hamilton and Anthony Pittman, could be cut or could be starters. The door is open for them to make a statement. HBCU's 6th-rounder, outside linebacker James Houston, is one of my favorite storylines on the entire team. The Florida transfer put up gaudy numbers under Deion Sanders at Jackson State and could be a late-round steal for GM Brad Holmes. One of the most intriguing storylines for this entire team comes at the cornerback position. Former number 3 overall pick Jeff Okudah struggled mightily in Matt Patricia's defense his rookie year and only played a handful of snaps before tearing his Achilles in 2021. His rehab process has been well documented, and he even had a 29-inch vertical recently while holding 30-pound dumbbells in each hand. Under defensive backs coach Aubrey Pleasant and defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn, Okudah is set up for success in his return in his 3rd year. He should be a really fun watch in training camp. Making Okudah's life easier will be his mate on the other side, Amani Oruwariye. Coming off of a 6-interception breakout season, Amani, or AO, has been garnering a lot of attention as a best player you may not know recently. Look for him to challenge top receivers in camp, a la Trayvon Diggs versus Amari Cooper on last year's edition of Hard Knocks. Other defensive backs to watch out for are newly extended safety Tracy Walker, who took some of that huge sign-on bonus to treat his neighborhood to over $13,000 worth of fireworks on the 4th of July this year. Free agent signees that will look to push for starting time are cornerback Mike Hughes and hard-hitting safety Deshaun Elliott.
Knocked out. That was Elliott who did. You're coming down, you see this.
Hopefully he doesn't hit any of his teammates this hard. 2021 undrafted free agent studs A.J. Parker and Jerry Jacobs will also challenge, as well as 21 draft pick Ifeatu Melifonwu, who may move to safety, trading spots with Will Harris, who looks to be moving from safety to cornerback. Joining them as well are 2022 draft picks cornerback Chase Lucas and safety Kirby Joseph, a pick artist whose big playability could earn him starting time at the nickel. And speed demon Bobby Price will try to stay on the roster after getting some run as a starter during the secondary's injury-riddled 21 campaign. As a whole, behind Walker, Elliott, A.O., and Okudah, this should be a really heated competition. There are many other names and battles that could garner focus on HBO, such as third-string running back and backup O-lineman, and the kicking battle between Riley Patterson and Austin Seibert, but all the names that I've mentioned have solid chances of not only making the roster, but also competing for starting roles. Throughout this video, you may have noticed a lot of extremely long and hard to pronounce last names. Well, Detroit has one of the most saturated rosters of players of Nigerian descent and players from Africa as a whole. Last year, Romeo and Julian Okwara's mother had all of these Lions over for a traditional Nigerian dinner on a video called At the Nigerian Table. I would highly recommend this for anyone to go watch. I think it would be amazing if HBO could take a play out of the Lions media department's book and do a segment on this year. Now, one final reason to watch Hard Knocks training camp with the Detroit Lions will be preseason week 2. Detroit and Indianapolis, who had a meltdown during their ill-fated in-season Hard Knocks last year, will be having joint practices. Indy added a ton of talent and a new quarterback in former MVP Matt Ryan to try to take advantage of a win-now roster. Seeing these practices promises to be absolutely electric. Many casual fans will see that the Lions are being featured on Hard Knocks and sneeze at it. But the front office isn't the same old Lions SOL front office of the last 6 decades. Brad Holmes was billed as the next Ozzie Newsome, and though that is an extremely high standard, in a year and a half, he hasn't given any semblance of a reason to think otherwise. Absolutely demolishing the roster over the last 2 off seasons and adding talent across the board. Only 24 Quinn Trisha-era players remain of the 90 currently on the Lions roster. And there could be even less once they cut to 53. The plethora of former players on the coaching staff have created a highly competitive, player-friendly environment that holdovers from the MP era rave about. And the head coach has won the respect of a fan base in need of direction. There should still be some growing pains in 22 as well, don't get me wrong, but this team is building for 2023 and beyond. With 2 more first-round draft picks next year, this team could be an interesting team moving forward. The 2022 edition of Hard Knocks has the potential to be not only highly entertaining, but could prove to be an inside look at an oft ill-begotten franchise finally springboarding into a bright future.
There's a place for you on this team. When you produce and you lay it on the line, because that stuff, man, that's better than gold, man. It's better than gold. That's where champions are born and made. You guys made me proud. That we are now springboarding. We are springboarding. And we have, by the way, we've already started this about 3 or 4 weeks ago. We know what we're capable of. And, man, when we can hit the offseason running, we're going, man. And we're going places. Because we want to go places. And we know the formula. I'm proud of you guys. Break it down.
I hope you enjoyed this video, and I also hope that you enjoy watching the Lions on Hard Knocks this year. Please like, share, and subscribe for more content. Thank you.